what is going on? It's your friendly neighbourhood Tim Sits here. And today we're going to be talking about the 1000cc class of motorbike. The one that everyone is most excited about. Alright? This is... Alrighty, so today we're going to be talking about the 1000cc class of motorbike, alright? And which one, obviously, is the best. So before we get started, you already know which one's the best, which one's the winner. It's obviously the winner, alright? So keep that bike in mind before we start this whole thing, alright? Now, obviously your biggest contenders with the 1000cc bike are the Kawasaki ZX-10, the Yamaha R1M, the new Gixxer 1000, the Honda Fireblade, and I'll throw the BMW S1000 RR in there for a non-Japanese contender, right? So these are probably the big five of the 1000cc inline fours that everyone's throwing up between, alright? Now first off, if you're in the market to buy one of these, congratulations, because you're doing better than fucking most of us, alright? So props to you for even being able to consider buying a brand new 1000cc sport bike. Alright? You've done well. So, let's just say, not only are you able to afford one of these bikes, you're looking to spend that money on them, and you haven't made up your mind, except for the bike you thought of before. Alright? Let's just compare a few things, right? So, first of all, the most important part is the rider, right? You ride the bike daily or on weekends or whatever you do. That's you. You're not a MotoGP rider, so that's something you got to consider. Now, each one of the bikes has like roughly 200 horsepower, a bit under, weighs about the same weight, is a 1000cc inline 4 with top of the line brakes and suspension and everything else you get with all your hard-earned cash, right? Some of them get a bit more tech on them, like the S1000 and the R1M. But aside from that, they're all pretty similar, right? So you might be thinking, well, yeah, you're right. But X bike has a little bit more power than Y bike. And then the counter-argument is, well, Y weighs a little bit less. So here's the predicament with the 1000cc bikes, right? They're all pretty much the same, right? All it comes down to is preference. Motorbikes are basically like, you ride them because of the feeling that you get riding them. And you're going to get that regardless. So you should really go with your gut choice. So the one you thought was the best before, that's the one you should pick. Because it's very hard to quantify why you like something over something else. And then you find all these other facts and figures to justify your argument to other people, because you can't just tell them that a bike is your favourite, because it doesn't work. Like, I know people that their favourite 1000cc bike, or their favourite bikes are Gixxers, and obviously they're dumb idiots and they're wrong, but that's their opinion. That's the predicament with the 1000cc Supersports. They're all the same, right? Like, if you can spend the amount of money on one, then you can spend the amount of money tweaking it to fit your riding style the best, you know? You can't say, well, the brakes are a bit better on one bike, because you can just upgrade the bike. Like, you can spend a little bit of money on getting better pads and braided lines and shit if you can afford 30 grand or 20 30 grand for a brand new Supersport bike. Like, you can make the bike as good as you want it to be. You know? So there's no point saying one bike's got a little bit more horsepower than the other one, because realistically, you're never going to know. You would have to be a MotoGP rider to squeeze every last little bit of horsepower out of that bike. Alright? Because that's not where people's track times get better, pumping more power out of the bike. Their track times get better when they adjust the suspension and the tyres and the brakes and everything else. That's where the difference is. And you can spend that money and do that to any of the bikes. So you pick the one that you like the most, right? You might say, well, fucking the Gixxer looks the best, then buy the Gixxer. I don't think that. I think you're an idiot, but you know, that's your choice. You might say, oh, well, I'm not going to spend all that money on the Beamer because it looks ugly. Then fucking don't. Like, you might think the new R1 looks ugly. Don't get it. Get the Fireblade. It doesn't make a difference. Riding on the streets, it's not going to matter whether you've got 2 horsepower more than your mate on a ZX10. Because if he's, you know, if he weighs a couple of kilos less than you do, then it doesn't matter. You know, like, you know, riders aren't all the same weight and they're not all the same skill, so the bikes don't have to be exactly the same, because it's not a level playing field. You know? So, after all of that, right, the bike that you thought of at the very start is the bike you should buy, because that's the one you like the most, and now you're just looking for reasons to justify buying it. And hey, go do it. I really, really want you to go buy that bike you've been thinking about, because then there's more second-hand bikes on the market for me to buy, because I can't afford a brand new one. But yeah, like, at the end of the day, you're buying a 1000cc Supersport as a dick extension, and you might as well get the prettiest looking dick out there. Now, I don't have anything against 1000cc sports bike. Like, I think they're fucking sick. I owned an R1. It was sick. But you don't need no one needs 1000cc's. Like, I did a cross-country trip on a Lamb's FZ6R. Like, not a powerful bike by any means. And you know what? It still did well and above the speed limit comfortably. So, you don't need 1000cc, you want 1000cc. Just fucking do it. Get the one that you reckon looks the prettiest. Right? Because you're an absolute twat if you buy a ZX10 because it's got 2 more horsepower than the Honda, even though you prefer the look of the Honda. Well, that's been my video. Make sure you subscribe and all that shebang. I'm gonna go lift some heavy things and put them back down. What the fuck is he doing? Alright. Well, adios people. Stay sexy. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.